2012 NAB Cup Grand Final is underway. Great to have your company wherever you're watching around the land on Fox Footy. Nat Nui and Jacobs in the ruck. And straight away, Smith off the square, gave it up to Jacobs. Early entry inside 50, Paul Pleasure and Schofield. Schofield with the punch down, Paul Pleasure with the crumb. Shrugs one tackle, wanted to get a pass away. Nat Nui had the reach, knocked it back. Paul Pleasure caught. Early start is hot. So Prittis, Selwood, Waters to the outer side. Knocked away from Darling. Well played by Otten. Nat Nui steals it back. Plenty of touches, not a lot of possessions at the moment that are decisive. Vince gives it on. Just in time, Dangerfield. He smothered Riley's kick. Back to Johncock. All the way back. Inside defensive 50. That's the West Coast pressure to a T right there. Pushed them all the way back even though they had possession, and Dangerfield collects on the wing.
And Adelaide get another opportunity, and maybe a little bit of fortune helps the skipper, Van Berlo. You could see all he could really do was gain a little bit of yardage. Paul Pleasure helped him out, and they get closer, but again fall down. And Waters able to take the mark. Oh, but straight back up did Butler. Sloan, you know, a box on and really relish it too. Petrenko, early chance like last week to slot one through. It goes across the face. First score on the board.
That's the type of pressure I said it'd be interesting to see them front up to a team which dishes it up to them on their terms in the forward lines. How they will handle it in the West Coast back lines.
I reckon either coach wants to see their team handballing so commonly as well to start the game. You've got to absorb that pressure, play a few percentages. I mean, Adelaide had a chain of 20 hand passes that took them directly to the back flank.
Schofield along. Nat Nui was the target, plucked by Vince. And a big round of applause for him. He has been in the press all week. Kicks it to the square. Tip it down there, couldn't mark it. Paul Pleasure grabs it and then dumped it. Hearn. And almost knocked that out deliberately. But the rules are back to the home and away season rules tonight. So you won't see as many deliberate out of bounds tonight through handballs or walking it across.
Jacobs and Natanui. Prittis.
Gee, reads them well.
Straight into his teammate. Was able to bounce back though, as you could see, and get some sort of a clearing kick, but it's coming back again. Smith playing in front down there, Vince. Riley, he's ventured down into attack, but not for long. And Hearn takes them away, and as always gets plenty on the kick. I thought Cox was holding on to Talia there. Umpire didn't spy that.
Well, we saw Shannon Hearn involved in the build-up there. He started at half forward. So he's either the highest half forward we've ever seen play the game, or he's playing as an extra defender pushing right up the ground.
Again, Natanui and Jacobs engaging. Kirk came flying through, but couldn't do what Vince could. And then Dangerfield's kick to half forward. Was that a mark to Selwood? He thought it was.
I thought it was too.
We had a better view of it than the umpire.
Well, I don't think he took it cleanly, but I think he kept it off the ground, and the umpire might have seen a bobble. And that's what made him think it actually touched the ground. This is a great view of it.
Yeah,
that's a mark.
The umpire cut him some slack because I think the umpire kind of felt he might have got it wrong. Once again, fierce at the contest. Vince diving in. Shuffled out to Selwood. Finally got a possession for his trouble and taken out by Riley. I mentioned the rules tonight back to the home and away season rules, but that barring the exception, and that is the 9-point super goal still in tonight for the NAB Cup Grand Final. And if scores a tie, we will get extra time as opposed to the draw standing in the home and away season. Van Berlo to half forward. Shuffle out to Selwood. Tucked up against the line. Smith keeps it alive. Back to Vince, who's been lively. Waters runs back with the flight and will get another ball in.
See, the game played all in Adelaide's forward half so far, boys, isn't it?
And that's where you want to play the game. But what you've got to do is make the most of that pressure and make sure you get some score on the board, and they haven't done that yet.
Jacobs trying to change that equation, working through Selwood, Scott Selwood. And he's very good at handling the pressure out. In fact, the best in the AFL last year with all the tackles and the other elements of pressure. Kerr. He knew where the boundary was.
If you look at this now, sorry, every player is in 1/4 of the ground. Yeah. That's why they're not scoring. It's great that they've got it up there from an Adelaide perspective. The reason they're not scoring is just 36 blokes within 40 metres of the footy.
Vincent Riley, this is a good opportunity. A couple of one-on-ones. Tip it behind. Aggressive play by McKenzie. He went again. Hill lending a helping hand. And a decisive one it turns out to be. Glass, the reliable one. The skipper leads them out to Butler, and they can break. McCaver has a bit of the inside running, and he had the teammate to support him in John Cock, and he's got Otten inboard, and they can build the Crows here, although again confronted by plenty of Eagles in their path.
And might be a turnover. Hill probably should have marked that. Mops up his own mess. Darling, first touch for him, and it's a long bomb. Over the top. Pure getting back. A little unsure. He gets a possession away that's wide, and they've worked it okay.
I just feel that, I know there's 1 point to nothing. Just to me at the moment, it looks like Adelaide are more comfortable with the way, the terms of this game.
That's a great change.
Henderson to right to John Cock. Needed to hold that. He's got a player out wide. Bernie Vince, who wants to get and go again. He can go inboard with a short pass. He does. Clever. He disguised it, and it was a raffle. Portpleasure pulls out the winning ticket.
Well, it was either Taylor Walker or Jason Portpleasure that was going to take the mark. He is in so much space, Bernie Vince. Someone at some stage, it's now Andrew Gaff goes down to pick him up. He's got to pay him a little bit more attention because he's running around on his own.
He just peeled off. His opponent peeled off to go to that second, third man up to the contest on the centre wing. He goes short.
And back to Vince again. And for those who
How far that go?
are unaware of why we're talking about Bernie Vince being in the news this week, he did celebrate a cricket grand final, one that he was not allowed to play in with his teammates that he played with all year. He wasn't allowed to play in the grand final last week, but he went back and celebrated by having a beer or two, and one of those were in his boxer shorts.
Come on, Dwayne, he had a beer or 16.
2 he admitted to.
Doesn't.
And he might have a couple tonight if he keeps doing like he's doing so far in this game. Pants up or pants down.
Yeah, he's actually had a bit of the ball already. He's doing very well. 7 possessions already for Bernie Vince. 4 kicks, 3 by hand. So have a look at this as we look down the ground here. Now watch the next player's already peeled off.
That was his man Gaff there.
Yeah, he's already peeled off and gone to him, which leaves him exposed out there. Well done by John Cock to hear the call. Not just vision, he heard the call. It's amazing. You have tens of thousands of people at the footy. You're down at ground level, you can hear players screaming above thousands because they want the ball so much.
Great start for Bernie Vince. 7 disposals and a goal. And the Adelaide side, the only one to do the scoring. So Cox goes into the ruck, but Dangerfield will get it out for the Crows, who have started in very positive fashion. Walker behind Glass, couldn't get near it.
Well, that's the key, Hutto. You said behind because Darren Glass took front position away from him. The kick was never going to be long enough to go over the top. It would have needed to be a 60-metre kick. That's just a man that knows his craft, Darren Glass.
The Eagles have only been inside 50 once so far after 7.5 minutes. Schofield received it from McKenzie. Got himself in and out of trouble, into the clear. A low kick for McGinnity. Hard to handle on the wing. Darling does it very nicely. Out to Gaff, where he plays so much of his footy. They almost through the zone. They had a couple inside the 50. Hill needed to handle it cleanly. Sloan put him under some duress. That's Lycett over the top, and Shaw of Adelaide. And inevitably, there'll be a bounce.
What I've seen so far is that both teams are willing to run super hard to space when their team's got it. But when their team hasn't got it, it just seems like the Crows are running as super hard to pick up an extra man.
About 20 around the ball. No one in the goal square, though. If it happens to go that way, it almost did. You can see that the height advantage with the Eagles there, but not quite able to be used effectively. Otten, Darling applying the pressure. It forced the ball out to Gaff. Was able to lay off to Selwood. Pritis, this will test him for distance. He knows that. He was given it. No, he wasn't given latitude by the umpire. Did eventually get the handball away, but didn't take the first opportunity and is penalised for it.
I disagree with that.
No, he got the handball away, didn't he? As soon as he got tackled.
Yeah, he hasn't even taken
get a
it
fist
to
on
ground.
it?
That's a bit of a tough one on him.
Very tough. Unanimous up here to the wing. Smith attacked that contest late. And we'll get a ball in. Goes backward of the wing.
Forward of the footy to the right-hand side of the screen. There's only 2 Crows players. We've got Portpleasure and Walker. Now Tippett goes back.
Jacobs and Cox front spot. Dangerfield had it, lost it. Pritis had him and lost him. Selwood in hard again. Butler, Marston, Kerr, and out of play when he kicked that, according to the boundary umpire. It'll come back. Daniel Kerr, who kicked the goal against Port Adelaide in the dying seconds 2 weeks ago to give the West Coast a chance of being in this grand final. Had he not kicked that goal, they wouldn't be here. It'd be Adelaide and Hawthorn. Gaff Tried to shoot a handball wide, stolen. Dangerfield, he's the hot player of this competition at the moment. He's had an outstanding month and a bit. And we'll get another ball in at half forward for the Adelaide Crows.
McGinnity's gone to pick up Bernie Vince now on the back of 8 possessions in the opening 8 minutes or so of this game.
No, we don't have that ruck rule that we saw with the players apart for the rest of the NAB Cup, so we're back to the old wrestle in the ruck, and try your luck when you work out when the whistle blows as to whose free it was. It was Dean Cox this time, across the glass. I think that free kick, that rule they used, has worked pretty effectively, and might be something they'll look at again next year. McKenzie up to half forward again. The Eagles finding it hard to get out, getting some of the own medicine that they've dealt to plenty of other teams in the last 12 months. Petrenko tries to generate something. Smith's kick up and down on the one spot. Schofield had it knocked away. Crows relentless. Callanan can sniff out a goal in most cases, but not that time.
See what they do look at in these early stages, Adelaide. They look well drilled. They look like they know their role, and he's got them playing. Brenton Sanson's got them putting the sort of pressure on that he demands, and they know this ground particularly well.
I reckon that they're very comfortable with their starting positions at the moment. They know that they can be involved within 3 or 4 seconds literally on any play if they get their positions right at the start.
Sloan with the fist, knocks it down, might even go and get his own ball. He does, kept it alive to Dangerfield. Got an arm free, just got a handball out in time. Sloan keeps it alive. Marston attacks it. Tippett attacked him. Thompson now attacks him. It's still in there. Umpire pings him. He gone.
It's the first time the Eagles have been taken on really physically in this NAB Cup competition.
They should be further in front, Adelaide, for their dominance. They really need to translate this dominance to the scoreboard with a goal from Scott Thompson.
49 possessions to 35 for the West Coast.
And a great servant for the Adelaide Football Club since coming over. Plays 200th in round 2. And that's across the face. It stays in play. Naitanui with a fist in the end. Knocks it down. Rosa. Selwood. Hugs the line. It's a roller. Henderson takes it to the line and we'll get a ball in.
Interesting watching that spoil from Nick Naitanui. He's going to have decisions to make at different stages. He's jumping that high and that far above everyone else. It's almost an uncontested mark when he's got a free run and jump, and he's better taking the mark than just punching the ball down at ground level where it could be crumbed.
Crows putting the pressure on again. Backing back Glass. Selwood, time on his side this time. They've had a huge difficulty finding clean space for their teammates, and again the Crows in best position. And tip it up to take the mark. Can release it quickly to a one-on-one in the pocket, but the experienced Glass arrives to help out. Or does he?
Holding.
There's some holding. I don't think it was against Glass.
You're holding his arm, not even going the ball.
Are you saying that he hooked onto his arm? We'll get a look at it from another angle. We've got cameras everywhere, so we undoubtedly will.
Against Selwood, I think, on Thompson.
Yes, it was against Selwood.
So, as you said, we'll have another look at it in a moment. They've been inside 50, 10 times to 2. Scott Thompson, what a dominating season he had last year. Just a couple of steps. Doesn't matter, it's a goal. And the Adelaide Crows have made the best start possible. 2-2-14. And their opposition, the West Coast Eagles, yet to score, down.
There we go. Selwood hooked onto the left arm and denies him any use of that by illegal means.
Good decision.
Oh, well done by Glass, too. He's fantastic at reading the ball in flight. One thing I'd have to say, even though they've got 14 points on the board and none, Taylor Walker needs to actually get to a position where they're going to use him, so it forces Glass to follow him rather than peel off and say he doesn't know what he's doing, I'm going to go to the drop of the ball.
Nick Naitanui sets himself. Tippett in the ruck now for Adelaide. Naitanui almost ripped it out of the air himself. Prittis.
That's unfair.
Marston. Adam Selwood. Shortish. John Cock nearly cut that off. Got a fist in. Waters goes back and gets it. Selwood wants to go back. Cleverly. Butler. And it opens up for them now.
Switch is on.
And he realises the switch is on. Tough ball for Schofield though. McKay just overcommitted there. Let it get behind him. The Cardinals sin. Schofield short. Nikoski wants to play on quickly. Thinks about 9 from there. And he loads up from 55. It'll be for 9. Super goal to Mark Nikoski. And Kareen will get $500 worth of Sharon footballs thanks to the NAB.
That's magnificent, isn't it? He led up well, and then he saw the space. No one was really working the mark hard. And you've got to put this down to an error from David McKay. You called it, Dwayne. He overcommitted. Well, it was a combination of overcommitting. He missed his spoil. He didn't take the ball with him, and as soon as it got behind him, they had the spare man overlap. So they were always going to be under pressure. Once he left his man, attacked the contest, but didn't impact it. Reinvented himself up forward, hasn't he?
Arguably one of the most improved players in the competition last year, certainly at West Coast.
He got the new gig up forward as a defensive forward, and suddenly he started kicking goals.
Kicked 41, in fact. Now, Natanui, we know much more than just a ruckman, but this time he's beaten, and it's right that sends Adelaide forward. Hearn can kick it back and then some. Almost a centre-half forward, putting Henderson under pressure, but he got away from Darling, and you can hear the crowd getting involved. And the kick was wandering up the wing. It beat about 4 lots of players charging out. In the end, Selwood got there. He was still under duress from Sloane. And the Crows pile on in and win themselves a free.
That one there, though, Petrenko is legitimately just on the field to put pace and pressure on Shannon Hearn, because he's such a beautiful distributor of the footy out of the back line. So they're caught with it then.
Yeah, going to Hearn against Petrenko. Again, gives it plenty. He knows no other way. Talia got the spoil on Lyset, but it comes straight out to Pritis. And now Kerr. There's no one deep, so he had to go short.
Super kick.
And as you said, it was perfect for Hill, who has started the year very smartly in the new colours.
Yeah, it looks like he might make the most of his second opportunity after spending time at the Western Bulldogs. He's lively up forward, but Daniel Kerr, as you called it, he only had the one option. He was 1 against 2, but the kick was so good. An uncontested mark on the lead.
75 goals in 5 seasons from 66 games with the Dogs. Was in good touch last week, but is astray there.
See, I know I'm just reading into it too much, but he misses a shot and it just doesn't seem to hurt enough. You know what I mean? Some blokes miss it and they punch the ground, or you can see the anguish on their face. That was, okay, I'll get another one.
Still got a great shot of the Daniel Kerr kick there. I mean, Dowdy was back as a loose in defence, but he couldn't do anything about it. It's too good.
And a turnover. Waters, now he could go for the 9.
Yep.
Not the play you'd want to kick to.
From the blood and Tars here in Adelaide, so he's played many a game on this ground. That's a wobbler. And they could be in front here, the West Coast, for 2 minutes of dominance. They could actually have the lead.
They got lucky there too, because again, they didn't man the mark. They allowed Beau Waters to run almost to the 50-metre arc.
So you can see what is confronting Graham Johncock. He goes to a similar spot, this time a little further, and hoping that Natanui can get there. He couldn't. Hoping that he couldn't get there, but they've got out of jail because the free kick's been plucked Adelaide's way to Dangerfield amongst the confusion.
Yeah, I reckon if you're kicking out, you're probably looking where Nick Natanui is and thinking, I want to go elsewhere. Yeah.
So Dangerfield gives it plenty. Tippett in a bit of a wrestle down there, which he won convincingly on McKenzie. Good signs for the Adelaide Crows if Tippett's going to be dragging marks like that down. Obviously not within scoring range, so then it's about Taylor Walker doing the same thing. Callanan where he should be at the front. Now Selwood, though, contriving nicely there with Pritis, and the Eagles click into gear again. Rosa up to the wing. Lyset came hitting it well. So the Eagles have steadied a bit, Derm.
Yeah, I just want to ask Kingy down on the ground. You've seen both teams holding the ball in their forward line now. Who looks more comfortable holding the ball in with body pressure and the likes?
Well, the Crows certainly look more comfortable at this stage. They're getting more reward, Derm. There's no doubt about that. Time in forward half majorly in their favour. 70% in their forward half.
The West Coast are having a few good minutes right now. Talia, Riley, putting the pressure on to drag them all the way back.
Good pressure.
That was dangerous, as you said. Good
West
pressure.
Coast
Nikoski's down.
Yep.
Nikoski is hurt.
Yep.
And he's rolling around in a bit of agony at the moment.
Yeah,
so we'll
got the
keep an eye on
binoculars.
that.
Yeah,
Waters
binoculars
drops
on it.
back. Good mark.
He's gone straight to the hamstring, Dwayne. Sorry about that. I just had the binoculars on him. He just grabbed straight at it. He just collapsed into the ground and left hand to left hammy.
Pretty high.
Yeah, you can see him showing the physio there, right up high under the buttocks.
And that's one thing that, in the effort to win a grand final in this competition, teams don't want to do. And that is by giving 100% this week, lose players. Nikoski about to be taken off. They've kicked it to his area. The umpire has stopped play. And the health and welfare of the player is first and foremost. The umpire's doing the right thing there because they would be unaware as to exactly what the injury was.
Just overstrode, didn't he, when he was changing direction, trying to put pressure on. Loses his composure and his gait, and that's where the hammy goes. And you've done a whole pre-season. This is where you hate seeing players get injured. They've worked so hard in preparation for round 1, and then they do something like this.
I'll take it in round 1 instead of round 22.
True.
So the umpire decides to bounce the ball. Dowdy with a clearance. Oh, he's still not off the ground. Still might get a possession here if he's not careful. Thompson had to go and win his own ball back again. And he may have dived on it. No, the umpire's deeming it's a ball.
He didn't get tackled. Selwood came in and tried to reef the ball away. If he had tackled him, he'd have put the claim on him. Watch this.
It's interesting. The ball got close again to Mark Nikoski because they wanted to take him through the interchange area. Now, if he's done a hammy, why wouldn't you just go
get
off?
him off? Yeah, call for the stretcher really straight away, wouldn't you?
It seems strange.
Just to make sure that you're not outnumbered.
Well, you got subs. Just have a look at him. He might have.
John Cock gave it straight to Hill. Manages to get it back, and the escape was not quite complete. Callanan, they're circling the Eagles. Well, I said there's a whistle here, and it might be an Adelaide free.
It is.
Big sigh of relief for the Adelaide players and fans. It's Callanan's ball.
Ian Callanan heads wide. Gee, he makes that tough for Smith. He has Vince as an outlet, and Vince taps it out. And that's a let-off for Adelaide. They were in danger of another turnover there.
Just got a little bit ragged in the last 90 seconds, Adelaide.
I reckon not playing the percentages. They thought things were going well, and they're starting to just add a little bit too much flair under pressure.
Sloane. Cox half had him. Scott Selwood knocked it under him. Vince hacks it out of the area. Tippett needs to go here. Glass front spot. And a good fist from behind from McKenzie. Hits the deck. Walker. He spent it before he'd earned it there. 3 players over this, and the umpire will ball it up.
In the last 6 minutes, West Coast Eagles have had 16 possessions to Adelaide's 14, but they've had 5 marks to 1. So they're actually possessing the ball a little bit better in the clinches.
Kerr gets it out. Rosa put his head down. Still got it. Gives to Hams. Cox. Adam Selwood had to stop and wait. Wrapped up. Shoots it out. Big pack around this ball at the moment, and because it's early and players are fresh, they can follow the ball a lot more easily than they would in the last half when they're a little spent.
So Pritis got a lot more recognition last year for the work that he does. Nice delivery too to Hill.
And he leads well, Josh Hill. He's got great speed off the mark. He led up the corridor beautifully. He's got to make the most of his opportunities, and he has a chance, in particular now that Mark McGrath's not there, he can make a name for himself at West Coast and be part of a successful team here.
Originally from Claremont, so back home and enjoying himself. Big thumping looking kick too. It's going to test them. It's gone all the way.
It's gone again, is it?
We're going to have a consultation here.
They're going to go to the video. They probably need to as well to see if it's a super goal, because he marked that on the 50 and his second grab of it, or he almost completed the mark outside 50.
One thing I say too as we wait on this adjudication is that Riley picking up Hill. Here we go.
Looking for touched on the line.
No, not a chance.
So that should be for 9.
Armidale Footy Club will be hoping it is.
There they go.
All clear, 9 points, super goal.
Goal it is, super goal, and the Eagles take the lead. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter.
I just wonder, Riley, I think, is a very, very good run around with player. I don't know if he has that explosiveness off the mark to follow Hill, as you called it, Jason, on the first 7 or 8 steps off the mark as a leading forward. Probably good with a circulating
look at
forward.
the difference there. He's 4 or 5 cleared.
Well, with a circulating forward, somebody who's a workhorse but not so much an explosive athlete off the mark. Yeah, no problem. Just, I suppose you can only play with the 18 you've got out there, and they're horses for courses. You make do with, and best with what you've got, but he's more of a midfield tagger. Good tap.
So for the first time, the West Coast are in front. McGinnity goes back and gets it. Boundary line was kind of his sanctuary. He had the outlet man to give it to, and Gaff goes to the wing. Darling, great attack. Knocked it down, didn't give a free away. John Cock sits a little. Slick hands though from Otten. Now Vince parts the seas, kicks to half forward. And Glass, good to have him back.
Doesn't he read it so well?
Captain back into the lineup this week with about 4 other stars as well. Gaff, one of those. Only a young star, but a star nonetheless. And we'll get a ball in. Here's the third eye vision of whether that was touched on the line. We'll continue to experiment with this. And you can see that it wasn't touched until it went over the line. Fox Footy with more cameras than ever before in 2012. So that gives you a good view of that. To full forward. Right, dragged down. Played for the free in the back. Crowd wanted it. Crowd don't get it. McGinnity gets it. Gives to Rosa. It'll be coming back. Henderson should gather here. 60 from goal. Bounced unkindly for him. Emblick corrals him to Sloan. Thinks about going long, shorts, Dangerfield, and that's kickable by his standards. He's marking the 50, but he marked that outside.
He's done himself of a chance of 9-pointer there. He marked it a half a metre outside, but naturally thinking as footballers do, cribbing the mark, getting a little bit closer.
So what happens if he actually marked it outside the 50?
Yeah, watch.
But the umpire deems the mark is...
Look, he steps.
The umpire tells them before they kick.
On the 50 is not outside 50. Maybe he completed the mark with a foot on the line, but Anglesey Footy Club's the one that's going to miss out. He gets onto it, but it's not going to be a score. Off some fists, Thompson dumps it down. Kerr in the thick of it as always. Cox, Gaff playing a role.
It's a good player, Gaff.
Scott Selwood. Now Natanui's got 2 to beat. Gets a hand on it, made a contest. And Dowdy goes all the way back to John Cock.
Who can see off Natanui okay. And then look at that kick.
Well, stayed in.
Nobody thought it was going to.
The breeze brought it back.
Yeah, there's a whistle here for a throw.
Your free kick.
He's paid the throw. Yep, most definitely he's paid it.
Refused to field it.
So Smith
Taylor Walker's got to get involved.
loops it up, gives Tippett every opportunity. The spoil was successful from McKenzie. Gee, that West Coast defence has been overworked in the last few minutes. Again, Smith had an opportunity. Gets help from McKay. Had his sights in the pocket. Oh, good resilience again from the Eagles, and Butler takes the mark.
Hello, they've been overworked at the moment, but the Crows just seem to be going down the line, straight-lined entries, and they're being picked off by Glass and Waters and the key defensive posts for the Eagles.
Seems to get out of defence though. You've got to win a battle where you're outnumbered, and they just haven't been able to. Either side's having trouble doing that at the moment. And they've gone in wide one more time. Selwood to Priddis to Cox. So the numbers are here. The next kick, though, is usually the numbers of the opposition. On this occasion, it works out well for them.
That's good hands from a big fella to catch that one take for a mark just down low like that.
Well, lost it when he had a very brief opportunity in the season last year. He looked very, very good in his one game. They're giving him every opportunity in this NAB Cup. Now, Dangerfield, can he create something? Using Henderson and Otten, who looked like he was getting back to form in the second half last week. Missed the target, and it can really sting, particularly in that position. Butler with the kick up to the entry to the 50 with the flight. Again, it's Waters that takes it, and he's just perhaps fractionally beyond him here, but Natanui is deep. Pokes it wide instead for Rosa.
He'll look to pass off again. I don't think he can get that journey. No, this bloke can.
Well, this is surely it's beyond him even.
No, from where the Rosa was. He went back 5 and gave him an extra 5 minutes to cover.
So Adelaide went inside 55 more times, Jace, than West Coast, but the Eagles lead by 6.
Yeah, they'll feel hardly done by Adelaide, and it's a little bit deflating, but they're in this contest. They need to regather themselves.
Yep, 2 super goals does the trick. The Eagles 20 lead the Crows 14. It's the NAB Cup Grand Final, live on Fox Footy.